It was a cold, rainy morning in the small town of Willowbrook, and construction worker Jake Thompson was already drenched as he trudged through the muddy site. The crew had been working on a new housing development near the edge of the forest, and the relentless rain had turned the ground into a slippery, treacherous mess. Jake was used to the tough conditions. He'd been in construction for over a decade, but today felt different. Something about the eerie silence of the forest and the way the rain seemed to fall in sheets made him uneasy. As he made his way toward the excavator, something caught his eye. At first, he thought it was just a pile of mud or debris, but then he noticed movement. A small, shivering figure was half buried in the muck, struggling weakly. Jake's heart sank. A dog, he thought, his protective instincts kicking in. He rushed over, his boots squelching in the mud, and knelt down to get a closer look. The creature was covered in thick, matted fur, and its face was barely visible under the layers of dirt. It whimpered softly, its eyes wide with fear. Jake reached out gently, brushing away some of the mud, and froze. This was no dog. The face staring back at him was unlike anything he'd ever seen. It had a long snout, pointed ears, and eyes that seemed almost human. Its body was lean and muscular, with paws that looked more like hands. Jake's mind raced. What is this thing? "Hey, over here!" Jake shouted, waving to his co-workers. A few of them jogged over, their curiosity piqued. As they gathered around, the creature let out a low, guttural growl, baring sharp teeth. The men stepped back, their faces pale. "What the hell is that?" one of them muttered. "I don't know," Jake said, his voice shaking, "but we can't just leave it here." Despite their fear, the crew knew they had to do something. They carefully wrapped the creature in a tarp and loaded it into the back of Jake's truck. Jake drove straight to the local veterinary clinic, his hands gripping the steering wheel tightly. The creature was eerily quiet now, its breathing shallow and labored. Dr. Emily Carter, the town's veterinarian, was just opening her clinic when Jake burst in, covered in mud and panic. "You've got to see this," he said, leading her to the truck. When she saw the creature, her eyes widened in shock. This isn't possible," she whispered, examining it more closely. "It looks like some kind of hybrid, part wolf, part something else." Over the next few hours, Dr. Carter and her team worked tirelessly to clean and stabilize the creature. They discovered that it had several injuries, including a deep gash on its side and a broken leg. As they worked, the creature remained calm, almost as if it understood they were trying to help. News of the strange animal spread quickly through Willowbrook. By midday, a crowd had gathered outside the clinic, eager to catch a glimpse of the mysterious creature. Local reporters arrived, their cameras flashing, and soon the story was making headlines across the region. But as the hours turned into days, things took an even stranger turn. The creature began to show signs of intelligence that no ordinary animal should possess. It responded to simple commands, seemed to understand human speech, and even appeared to form a bond with Jake, who visited it every day after work. One evening, as Jake sat by the creature's enclosure, it did something that left him speechless. It reached through the bars with its paw-like hand and gently touched his arm. Then, in a voice that was barely more than a whisper, it spoke. "Thank you," it said. Jake stumbled back, his heart pounding. "Did you just talk?" he stammered. The creature nodded slowly, its eyes filled with sadness. "I am not from here," it said. "I was sent to warn you." Jake's mind reeled. "Warn us about what?" Before the creature could answer, the lights in the clinic flickered and went out. A low hum filled the air, growing louder and louder until it was almost deafening. Jake rushed to the window and saw a bright light descending from the sky, hovering just above the trees. The creature let out a mournful howl, and Jake realized with a sinking feeling that this was far bigger than he could have ever imagined. The next morning, the creature was gone. The enclosure was empty, the door left wide open. Dr. Carter and Jake searched the area, but there was no trace of it. The only clue was a single word scratched into the mud outside the clinic. Run. The town of Willowbrook was never the same after that. Strange sightings were reported in the forest, and people began to disappear without a trace. Jake tried to warn everyone, but no one would listen. They called him crazy, said he was making it all up. But Jake knew the truth. The creature had tried to warn them, and now it was too late. As he packed his bags and prepared to leave Willowbrook for good, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. He glanced out the window and saw a pair of glowing eyes staring back at him from the shadows. The creature was still out there, and it wasn't alone. If you found this story touching and inspiring, please like the video, share it with others, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for following along, and we'll see you next time for more uplifting tales.